From Topeka, Kansas, in the Topeka West studios, this is Topeka West Now, featuring Mr. Chris Perry.
Hello, and welcome to Topeka West Now. I'm your host, Aaron Main. The mission of this program is to discuss national and local issues in the now. Topeka West students and staff will help in the discussion through man-on-the-street top comments. Joining program is anchored by our expert, Topeka West teacher, Mr. Chris Perry. How you doing, Perry?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Glad you're on the show. Okay, we're gonna get right to it. If you're ready, Mr. Perry.
Ready?
All right, so you're ready. That's good. That's what we needed. Our first question is international in scope. Mr. Perry, our man on the street is Aiden Bly. He asked Topeka West Charter students and staff about recent horrible acts of terrorism and its impact. Let's watch.
And what do you think? What do you know about the recent terrorist events in Europe and abroad?
Well, definitely things are kind of ramping up. There's obviously ISIS in Iraq and Syria. But I think there's kind of a movement to attack freedom by radical Islam to try and control what people can do. And I think it's important that you take a stand against that and, try and protect your freedoms to basically say whatever you want and criticize whatever ideas you wish to criticize. So,
I really don't know that much, actually. No idea.
As I exercise on that treadmill, I do watch that. I am concerned about the safety of all of us, especially people globally, and how that affects us economically with travel, and that is always a concern. Terrorism is always a concern for me.
I really haven't paid much attention to that, to be honest.
I don't know a whole lot. I know it's not a good thing, but it's kind of depressing a little bit that that's going on, and it continues to go.
I know about them, but I was actually just reading more into it, and I think it's really interesting, but I think we should know more about it because all the facts, depending on where you go, it's misconstrued. So it kind of takes some digging to find out what's really going on.
I don't know a lot, just that a lot of Muslim faith people that aren't terrorists are getting a lot of hate for it. I know about what happened in France and all the things that are going on in with ISIS and everything, and everything surrounding that, and the whole situation, and how there's a lot of prejudice going around. Yeah.
I've seen it trending all over Twitter, and I've noticed that it's gotten a lot of global support, and I hope for the best of everyone there.
Okay, Mr. Perry, you saw the comments. First, what is your reaction to what the students of Topeka West had to say?
Well, I agree with what most of them said, because most of them were like, they didn't know much about the topic and that they thought they really ought to. But those that were able to answer, I thought that their answers were insightful. I thought that, they were pretty spot on as far as what's going on with recent events in France, in Afghanistan, and in Iraq, and the problem that the world's facing with some of these new terrorist groups like ISIS.
Yeah, I believe you in that one. I agree completely. Yeah.
So, I think as far as my opinion about ISIS, especially ISIS, because they seem to be the group that as kind of serves as the basis for other groups who are becoming much more violent. They're not just attacking what we would consider, combatants, armies or whatever. They're attacking civilians, journalists, and demanding things that have nothing to do with what might be whatever their doctrine or manifesto may be, or what we might think their doctrine or manifesto is. They're demanding things that just don't go, that aren't aligned with what we were used to, after 9/11, and President Bush stating that we were going to have this war on terrorism. It's just morphed into something that's much different. One thing I do disagree with a little is when we call these people, Islamic radicals or fundamentalists, because it really has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with Islam or Muslims. It's just terrorists who are carrying out acts of violence for their own means, and it seems like most of this has absolutely nothing to do with their religion or what we in the West are calling a jihad, which that's a misnomer also. But we go with what is in front of us, and the media runs with jihad, so that's what we go with. It has nothing to do with that anymore. So I think this new wave of terrorists and terrorism, it's something that we need to pay attention to, because it's not just U.S. troops or U.S. Combat personnel around the world. They are attacking anyone and anything that they can to get attention and to try to cause harm to any country that's not part of their worldview.
See, that's a lot of interesting things you kind of noted there. Now I have another question I need to ask you, and that is, do you think America should do anything about this? And if we should, which I think you and I believe that we should, right?
In a sense. One thing I don't agree with is, we're having calls from members of Congress who are calling for us to now, either return to Iraq, send more troops to Afghanistan, and I don't agree with that. I don't think that we can any longer, serve as the world's police. All we're doing is putting our troops in harm's way. We're not fighting a conventional war. It's not, the United States Army versus the army of another country. We have absolutely no idea who the enemy is, and why. I just don't agree that we need to occupy countries for not just years but for decades, and to go back into Iraq, to commit troops back to Iraq, to commit more troops into Afghanistan and stop or scale back the withdrawal from Afghanistan. I just don't think that's a wise decision. I think that if the world community, not just the United States, but if the world community wants to combat terrorists and these terrorist groups, we have to help the governments in those countries have the ability to protect, first their citizens and any foreign citizens who visit. I don't think that necessarily has to be the responsibility of the United States.
So you think that in terms of the terrorism, that, it shouldn't just be America that has to take place in this?
Yeah.
Do you believe that the world should, not the world, but around?
Yeah, the last person, and I hate to say this, and it was really sad, but the last person to be beheaded was a Japanese citizen, and so it's not just Americans who are in danger. I think that if this is going to be a world problem, then the world community needs to be involved, and we can't keep bankrolling everything. We have enough problems at home and enough issues that we need to take care of, that we don't need to take care of everyone else's problems also. I think the world community needs to, invest economically, human resources, whatever it takes. They need to make some investments so we can, try to, corral and stop these problems that the world community is facing.
Do you think that the world, you talk about the Japanese citizen, we have Americans,
Yep.
Some of our troops, they're being beheaded by, ISIS.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the world, and are we going to do something about it? Do you think it's going to happen, or?
Well, I think that we're going to get to a point where we have no choice. But again, I would recommend, and of course I have no say in any, international or even national policies or politics. But if I was asked, and it's my opinion, then we need to make it so the host countries, these countries where these terrorist groups are finding some type of home or protection, whatever it may be, that we need to enable those countries to combat these groups, and it doesn't have to be us. We're not the only country in the world with an army. We're not the only country in the world who is affected by terrorism. And so, again, the world community needs to get involved, and we need to make sure these countries where these groups are located have the ability to combat, the problem.
I believe I like your input on here,
Mm-hmm.
but I really thank you for the viewpoints you've given us here.
Well, you're more than welcome.
I think you gave some really good, interesting, answers here.
Well, you're welcome.
So,
thank you.
This very troubling topic of terrorism, is there anything else you want to add?
Well, I think, again, what we need, and this one of the reasons I'm a history teacher is because, I truly believe if you don't know your past, you're going to be doomed to repeat it. And I really think that it's not just a desire, but it's imperative that we know what's going on. We learn these different cultures, so when we go in somewhere, we're not stepping on toes and making more enemies. And I just think that the United States needs to. Yes, we have the ability, the military might and the economic might to do just about whatever we want, wherever we want to do it. But I'm in hopes that that's not going to be our continued role, is to go in and clean everybody else's messes up. That maybe we can use a foreign policy that is more understanding, where we're not creating more enemies that we have to deal with in the future. And I think we have the ability to do that. You can, it's a lot easier to make friends being nice and avoid problems than just going in guns blazing and trying to force someone to do your will. So, anyway.
That's what I think at least I hope and think that things will settle down, hopefully eventually. If may never, but that's what I think. But when we come back, we will tackle the national topic of gas prices. So stay with us for more of Topeka West Now.
Rambled a little bit.
Oh, look, a redhead. Staring contest. You still got it.
I know.
Come alive with the forest.
The dad was cute.
You were looking right at us.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
Today, 1 out of every 4 American kids is Hispanic. That means many of the future doctors who will care for us, the engineers who will build our cities, the scientists and entrepreneurs of our country can be your kids. We all know how hard it is for you to send them to college. This is why we want you to know you are not alone. And every day, more people support you to make it happen. Many support you. And the Hispanic Scholarship Fund helps you prepare, plan, and pay for your kids' college education. Learn more at hsf.net.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally. Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands?
My son has lots of dolls.
But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did.
It's totally true.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys know statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Yeah. That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to make sure your child is protected.
Welcome back to Topeka West Now. The next issue is national in scope. The topic is the issue of gas prices. Gas prices have dipped to as low a mark as I can remember in my lifetime. It is certainly a topic of interest to many. Now let's take a look at what some of our students and staff throughout Topeka West Campus, what they had to say, what they've heard from the street. We will discuss here in the studio.
In your lifetime, you're 11 years old. Okay, come on.
What do you think about the lower gas prices in America?
Fantastic. I love it.
I think they're great. Saves me a lot of money. Saved a lot of people a lot of money, actually.
I love it, honestly. Yeah.
I'm glad that I don't have to spend so much money on gas anymore.
I'm all for that. I drive a car that requires premium gas, and the lower the price, the happier I am in driving my vehicle.
I think they're really helpful, and I think they're really important, and it's a really big symbol about like how far our nation's come from the recession. Same, but yeah, it's pretty good, and I know that my parents have had a lot more money now that they don't have to pay as much for gas, so yeah.
I think that's really great. Gas was extremely expensive, so now families can actually afford to drive on trips and see the sights more. Like, it's better than just flying in a plane.
It is awesome, especially with my kids out of school and then Michael going to school. It's going to help. It just helps the economy a lot too with all the people that travel and everything. I think it's great.
Obviously, that's a good thing for consumers, but I think really you need to consider what that's doing to the global economy, because it's great for consumers and the importers, but it's bad for the exporters like Russia, China, and places like that, and that can have pretty far-reaching ramifications for everybody.
Okay, Mr. Perry, you saw the comments. Now, first, what is your reaction to what the campus had to say?
Okay, my first reaction is to what you had to say when you said they're the lowest that you've seen in your lifetime.
Okay.
And, you're like 11 years old, so.
Okay.
Anyway, I can remember when gas was extremely low, like 35 cents a gallon, that sort of thing. But it's, listening to the man on the street, I'm with him that, yeah, I'm glad gas prices are lower. It helps the economy. It's great for travel. It was great that, right after Christmas, the prices went down when, people were maybe a little tight with money after buying presents and whatnot. So I think it's awesome that gas prices are down, and I, again, agree with the comments that we just witnessed.
All right. I'm not 11. 16, thank you.
Okay, I apologize.
No, why do you think gas prices have dropped?
Well, and I'm probably very, very skeptical. I think that gas prices fall and drop based on very, very artificial circumstances and influences. It surprises me when gas prices can be around $2.10 a gallon, and then something happens in Indonesia, and so gas prices have to go up $1 a gallon. So I think that sometimes the manipulation of the prices of oil is artificial, and it's very planned out. And, I just don't trust those people who are in charge of regulating prices and setting prices. And so, whatever the reason is, whatever reason prices of oil have gone down, and I just hope that they stay low, and it gives everyone more money in their pocket, allows them to spend more money on other things. And, I think if you really look at the economy, it's going to help our economy, as far as creating jobs and that sort of thing. So I think it's great for the economy. And I think in reality, it's not a bad thing for the oil producing and oil exporting companies. I think it's a good thing for them. And when gas prices are low, I think it helps everyone.
I think it does too. It saves a lot of money in the pocket.
Yeah,
a lot of families can get through. So I think that's a really good thing that it's finally happening. Prices have been so high, but do you think the low prices we've been getting, like we've seen like $1.69 around, do you think they will keep dropping?
No, I think eventually. In fact, we've already. I mean, if you've kind of paid attention to the news, there's already been signs that trend is going to change. That the price of oil is going to start trending back upwards, and so as soon as the price of oil trends back upwards, so will the price of gas. So, although I hope that the speculation is wrong, I hope prices either continue to go down or at least start leveling off and staying, around the $1.50, $1.60 a gallon price level. I don't think it's going to be long lived. I think no later than this summer, And if they last that long, I'd be surprised. But I bet by this summer prices are going back up.
I think that it won't keep going lower. I have no idea, to be honest. But I think the fracking. But I just hope it stays below $2. You know.
It'd be nice.
When it was like 3 or so around there, at least, I feel like families had trouble really kind of keeping up because by the gallon, you kind of went down.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I guess we can. One thing we can be very thankful that we're not in another country, because in some places, you know, they were paying $8 a gallon for gas. So, you know, in America, we complain about, you know, $2 and $3, but you know, in Europe, there are places where you're paying closer to $8 a gallon. So, you know, we're pretty fortunate. Pretty fortunate.
We are pretty fortunate. But thank you for your viewpoints. And next time, well, not next time, but the next thing we're going to be talking about will be about Topeka West getting some Chromebooks, but not right now. We're about to go to break. So stick around for the more Topeka West Now.
You're pretty good. Hope you're back.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
They say that when you're facing extreme danger, your life flashes before you. If you think that's sad, consider facing it before you even have enough life to flash before your eyes. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Deaths and injuries can be prevented by using the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to know what is appropriate for each age and size.
Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
It's 547.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Please have a seat. I'll be honest. Your resume, not what I'm used to.
I know.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need a hard worker.
Good. I've got 2 part-time jobs and to help my parents pay the bills.
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find, cultivate, and train a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
That's not what you're going to read, is it? Oh, okay.
Got it. Welcome back to Speak West Now, and we have one more topic here for Mr. Perry. And, well, our final topic is locally as well as nationally. We're getting Chromebooks, they're basically laptops from what I've seen and heard. What is a Chromebook? Well, I just told you, it's a laptop. It's used for, I believe it's going to be used for education and online activities. Now let's take a look at what a couple people, not just me, but what students around Topeka West, the campus, what they have to say.
Okay.
What do you think about Topeka West getting Chromebooks next year?
I think it's a really smart idea. I know that especially for honor students, it's really hard to carry all your books around, so it'll be a lot easier for those students to have all their homework to be able to be downloaded onto there, and that way they can send it to the teachers when they're done.
I'm very excited about that. The more technology we have, I think the better. And so I'm very excited that we'll be able to do some things such as maybe enrollment online with the Chromebooks as opposed to the old-fashioned paper. So I'm looking forward to it.
I really don't know much about them, honestly.
I think it's a pretty good idea because, I don't know, a lot of people might enjoy it, and it could cause a few problems.
I think it's pretty cool. I won't have to carry textbooks around all the time anymore.
I think that sounds really cool and could be helpful for our education. I'm pretty excited for it, and I think that it'll be better to not have to remember to carry around so much books and papers and stuff when you can just all have it there.
It sounds pretty interesting. I think I'll believe it when I see it, honestly. I've heard a lot of, oh, you're never going to have to carry your books around anymore. But I think, if we actually saw these Chromebooks and see what they can do, I'd be a lot more interested in it, basically.
I think it's going to further our education pretty well. It's going to help all the students learn much more while they're at home, as well as not having to lug around books and other papers.
I think it's a pretty exciting thing. It's a great educational tool, and I think the kids will adapt to it really well, and I think it'll be good for education.
All right, Perry, you heard the comments. Now, what is your reaction?
Well, I agree with the students and staff members that were spoken to. I think, this is awesome. I think the Chromebooks are going to be very helpful to the students first. And I think they're also going to be very helpful to the staff as we're going to be allowed to do a lot more things. It's going to make things much easier. I'm all for anything that's going to get us away from the use of so much paper. It's going to help students out not carrying so many books around, big heavy book bags. So I agree with what we heard. I think this is great for Topeka West. I think it's great for 501, and I think it's really good for education in general.
Yeah, I believe you, and I'm looking forward to it next year myself. Now, what do you think will happen to textbooks?
Well, I think that they're going to become, and this is one thing I'm not excited about, because I love opening up a book. I love getting information from a book. I love the idea of the search, and that's not just online, that's instantaneous, that actually requires a little bit of effort from, the researcher. But I think, textbooks are going to become, at least the hard copies that you have to carry around are going to just become a thing of the past, as, the textbooks will be downloaded onto the Chromebook, and you just access it like, any other book you'd read on a Kindle or something like that. So I think the carrying around a hard copy of a book for a student is going to be a thing of the past. But I know, I'm an old guy, and I like a lot of the old things, and so I'll always have, textbooks around and books around just because I enjoy opening those up and reading them. So, but as far as you guys, thing of the past.
I'm looking forward to, not having to carry much anything anymore.
Well, if you get in the weight room a little bit, you have some guns and you can carry those around a bit. You won't be so tough on you.
Hey, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. What do you think would happen if students, I don't know, if they kind of damaged, abused the privilege of having a Chromebook?
Well, I think just like any other privilege, and we've had some in-services where we've talked about some of these issues where we've been told, some things that can or may happen. And so I think that, just like anything, if you abuse the privilege, and it is a privilege, it's not a right, if you abuse that privilege, then the privilege can be taken away from you. And we have hard copies of books. So, if someone, again, abuses that privilege, well, then they can carry the books around.
So, if they abuse it, I guess you go back to textbooks. I guess that kind of line in.
Well, I don't think that we're talking about a lot of people that are going to do that. But there are also going to be some safety, programs placed on these. So it's not like, a student can just go anywhere they want on the internet. And, if you're worried about that type of abuse, I think there's going to be, things in place that will, try to stop, kids from doing, searches where they just shouldn't be. And as far as damaging, I would imagine that, like other districts have done, you're going to handle that just like you would a textbook that's damaged. If you damage something, you have to replace it. It's your responsibility to replace it. So, but anyway, I think, of course, there are always going to be some things that are going to have to be worked out that students are going to have to understand. But I don't think there are going to be any more problems than we have with textbooks now. And I really think that it's whatever negatives that might be out there that could arise at whatever point. I think the positives are going to outweigh those negatives as teachers are going through training and we're learning new ways to use this technology. As far as I'm concerned, I'm excited. It's gonna make things a lot more interesting in the classroom, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I hope and pray that no one really damages them. That's a lot of money, I believe, right?
Well, yeah. They're not going to be. I mean,
not gonna be cheap. That's for sure.
Technology is expensive, and but it's just like in anything else. You have to respect what you have and take care of what you have, and if you can't do that, then you don't have it anymore, and you or your parents will just be responsible for replacing whatever it is you've damaged or destroyed. So that's the same way it is with a textbook.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really want to lose it either.
No.
Yeah, that's a big paycheck. So big dock in the paycheck. Yeah. So now, what do you think that say like you're a teacher here, like students? I mean, like you're a history teacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would you use the Chromebook for most? Like, what do you like? Is there any sort of activities you'd use? Or
a bunch of activities. We do a lot of activities that we could. Well, there's a lot of activities you don't do because you can't always get access to a computer lab or enough computers to do the activities. But there's activities that we do every day that having the Chromebooks will make much easier. Be it reading a primary source document, taking a quiz, taking a test, watching an online video. I mean, there's just thousands of things that you can do now that are going to be much easier. And I think the other thing that this is going to allow, it's going to allow students to work more at their own pace. Because now, if I want us to do something that's multimedia in scope, I have to put it up on our screen, and I can't move forward until the last person is finished with whatever it is we're doing. But if that whatever it is can be projected on a person's personal Chromebook, then they can work at their own speed. Which if it's a person that needs more time, if it's a person that can move faster than everyone else, whichever it might be, I think that's great. I really am excited about this happening, and I think next year, I think we're going to take a big step forward in the way we teach our students and the way students are able to learn.
I think the progress in learning will just be the sky's the limit. You know what I mean?
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Now we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I mean, it's not the end.
It's silly.
Quiet, please. Wait a sec. I'll take one. Oh yeah. All right. All good. Take care. Way to go. Nice. Bring it on. Gotcha. I'm here for you. Oh no. Please, please, please. I'm waiting. Interesting. Not buying it. Not fair. That's it. This conversation is over. Oh, brother.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things.
I'm having a stroke. I'm having a stroke.
Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. F. Face drooping. A. Arm weakness. S. Speech difficulty. T. Time. Time to call 911 immediately. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. Learn the body language, the sudden signs, and spot a stroke fast.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I sure do.
I bet you. Oh, gosh.
All right, so now we're back. Welcome back to Speak West Now. Now, we're going to do a thing called Lightning Round.
Okay.
Now, the way this works is we have a few simple either-or questions for Mr. Perry to answer, just to get a better look at him as a person.
Scary thing.
Yeah. we all want to know what you're like.
No, you don't.
So let's get started.
Okay.
Sitcoms or drama?
That's tough. My favorite show is Big Bang, but I really, really like How to Get Away with Murder. But I'm going to say sitcom.
Tough choice.
Yeah.
iPhone or Android?
I used to have an iPhone. Now I have an Android. I like the Android much better. So Android.
A lot bigger?
Well, it's bigger and it's better. I just think it's better. It's more accessible for an old person like myself.
Spoken like a true king. Football or baseball?
Okay. Baseball is a communist sport. Who cares about baseball? Football, 100%.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's a communist sport. All right. Pepsi or Coca-Cola?
Pepsi is sweetened, watered down Coke, so Coke.
Think it's just the real deal? Or?
Coke's the real deal, yeah. Coca-Cola.
Now, rock or pop?
Music?
Music. Rock or pop? Rock and roll or hip-hop?
I don't really like music, so I'll
You don't like music?
I'll say opera.
Classical opera?
Let's say I'll go rock and roll. All
right.
It's more my age, yeah.
That's it. Well, Mr. Perry, thank you.
You're welcome.
for your viewpoints on these highly important topics. I appreciate you being here. Is there anything you'd like to add before we sign off?
Well, just want to say thank you, and the rest of the TV production staff. It's great coming down and doing this. It's a lot of fun. It's nice getting to know you. And are you ready to go play this one-on-one basketball game?
Yeah, I'll be sure to do a couple 360 dunks before I gotta get warmed up, my legs, right? 'Cause I don't want to hit you with that crossover I've got, But also thank you, Aiden Bly, for the student and staff interviews, as well as Dylan Lears, who is our video expert. And this was Topeka West Now. I'm Aaron Main, Mr. Perry. Good doing the show with you. And we'll see you next time. Get dunked on.
Yeah, here's something else.